What's down there in the depths? Huge, terrifying predators, piles of human trash, sunken ships, or perhaps entire lost cities? Today, I'm going to tell you about the strangest discoveries found in the sea. And if you watch the video until the end, you'll be convinced that monsters do exist. Enjoy the viewing. But before I tell you about the most unusual finds on the ocean floor or discoveries washed ashore, I'd like to share some of the strangest things found in the stomachs of underwater predators. Technically, these are also sea discoveries, though the method of finding them isn't quite standard, and sharks have swallowed some things that I just have to tell you about. So first, the less shocking items. Car license plates, raincoats, winter coats, without their owners, of course, Coca-Cola cans, scarves, shoes, or even a cannonball. Essentially, any kind of trash, which there is tons of in the ocean. It's no surprise that predators accidentally swallow it, mistaking it for food. But in 1862, something truly unique was found in a shark's mouth, a curious goose. And it was alive. Well, let me explain everything in order. Engineer Tate was going on another sea voyage and decided to bring a goose with him. Just in case. His steamboat encountered a storm with huge waves, and the man had to save the ship and himself, forgetting all about the goose. When things calmed down, Tate realized the bird had been washed into the sea by one of the waves. He was very sad, as he had grown somewhat attached to the bird. Then, not long after, fishermen caught a chubby shark. It turned out to be the very one that had swallowed the goose whole, and the bird was completely unharmed. The goose had a tag on its leg with the owner's name and address, so it was successfully returned home. After that, it was eaten again. But that's another story. If you think I made up this story and nothing like that could have actually happened, you're wrong. Here's another example. In 1922, a turtle was found in another shark's stomach. It was huge and still alive. The rescued animal was placed in the New York Aquarium and named after the biblical prophet Jonah. You can read more about it online. Now I'll continue with the most unusual discoveries in the ocean. February 23rd, 1975 will forever remain in the memory of brave fishermen. The morning presented them with an extraordinary challenge. A giant great white shark was caught in the net of the ship with the romantic name Romance of the Oceans. All day there was a tense battle with this sea predator. Only by evening, exhausted, did the fishermen manage to overcome the dangerous creature. Upon bringing the fierce predator aboard, they immediately began to gut its carcass. However, what was hidden inside the shark shocked not only the sailors, but also scientists. A marble head of a woman was peeking out from the bloodied belly. It turned out to be a fragment of a statue, crafted with exceptional skill, resembling the ancient Greek sculpture of Venus de Milo. However, unlike the original, this accidental find had arms wrapping around something that looked like a heart. How did such a beautiful statue end up there? Perhaps it's remnants of ancient sunken cities, or that very Atlantis. Speaking of which, let's start with those sunken cities. And I'm not talking about Atlantis, or rather, not only about it. In 1986, Japanese diver Kihachiro Aratake, while descending to observe sharks, discovered something quite different from what he was looking for. He found a massive underwater structure measuring about 200 feet in length and 150 feet in width. The object was named Yonaguni, after the nearby island in the Japanese Sea. This discovery sparked intense debate among scientists. Some believe the monument is the remains of an ancient civilization destroyed by earthquakes, while others argue it's merely a natural formation resembling a pyramid. Well, I suggest you take a closer look at this object from all angles and draw your own conclusions. So what do you think? Have you figured anything out in these few seconds? Professor of Marine Geology and Seismology Masaki Kimura dedicated about 2 decades to studying this find. During this time, he discovered traces of tools, drainage channels, stairs, gates, sculptures resembling human figures, and a massive bas-relief depicting animals. All this finally convinced him and the public that the Yonaguni Monument is an ancient sunken city. possibly between 2,000 and 3,000 years old. However, another scientist, a professor from Boston University who also dived to this object multiple times, believes that all the traces found by Kimura are merely the result of natural erosion, not remains of an ancient civilization. He thinks that nature sometimes creates amazing and unusual forms that can be misleading. The debate over this find is likely to continue for some time. Kimura's theory could well be correct, considering that there are historical examples of underwater cities found with more convincing evidence of their existence. For example, the ancient Egyptian temple city of Heraklion, discovered by archaeologist Frank Gaudio in 2000. Just imagine, over 2,000 years ago, this port city, located in the Nile Delta, was known as the gateway to Egypt. Ships regularly passed through it, entering and leaving the country. And now the city simply lies on the sea floor, at a depth of 20 feet in the Abu Qir Bay. Yes, you heard right, 20, not 20,000. It's amazing that it was searched for so long. It is believed that Heraklion vanished suddenly. In the 1st century BC, a strong earthquake triggered a tsunami. As a result of this natural disaster, houses were destroyed, ships were sunk, and thousands of people perished. Underwater, there are enormous temples of Hercules, colossal statues, sphinxes, ancient coins, jewelry, sarcophagi, bronze figurines, as well as ancient ships and anchors, tons of artifacts and treasures, each holding the memory of a long-gone civilization. To date, archaeologists have examined only a small part of the city, which, according to Frank Gaudio, is 3 times larger than Pompeii. The scholar predicts that in the coming years, even greater and more exciting discoveries await us. But this is still not Atlantis. The mysterious city from Plato's manuscripts should be sought elsewhere, in the Atlantic Ocean. Despite countless attempts by scientists and researchers to find it, they have not succeeded. Although Heraklion, which is much closer, was also searched for thousands of years and eventually found, so who knows, maybe new exciting discoveries are coming soon. Not only ancient cities hide unimaginable treasures. Sometimes sunken ships filled with precious gems, gold, coins, and antique artifacts are discovered on the seabed. One of the most valuable and significant finds in recent years was the Spanish galleon Nuestra Señora de Atocha. American treasure hunter Mel Fisher began searching for this ship in 1970, and only in 2015, nearly half a century later, was he finally able to locate it. The galleon sank in 1622 due to a fierce storm off the coast of Florida, taking with it not only the lives of the crew, but also an incredible amount of valuable cargo. On board the Atocha, many feet of gold, silver, and precious stones were found, with an estimated value of $17 billion today. Moreover, according to a list of treasures found in Spanish archives, there may be even more treasures hidden underwater than what was discovered. So, feel free to go searching. Furthermore, some shipwrecks were mixed by the storm with debris from the Atocha, and among them, there might also be other treasures. For this discovery, Mel Fisher received a couple of $1 billion, I'd like to say, but I'll say the title of King of the Underwater World. Disputes over which country, Spain, the USA, or Colombia, should have the right to these riches continue to this day. Yes, Fisher didn't get any of this bounty. Well, unless he hid something in his pockets to sell later at black auctions. Speaking of those auctions, sometimes the most unexpected items appear. For example, items from the sunken Titanic. The ship was carrying immense treasures, diamonds, jewelry, and gold worth over $200 million. But the value of many artifacts has increased significantly over time because they are no longer just trinkets but real pieces of history. Recently, pocket watches belonging to first-class steward Edmund Stone were found at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Stone was the man who held the keys to all the cabins. He was part of the elite service staff, but what does that matter now? All that remains is this watch, which stopped at 2:16. Exactly 4 minutes before the ship sank completely. Surprisingly, this find, bearing echoes of tragedy, was sold at auction for an incredible sum of $150,000. That's a huge price for a century-old pocket watch that doesn't tell the current time. But I can understand the buyer. These watches don't just show time, they show history, the moment when 1,000 lives were lost. Value isn't limited to gold, precious stones, and unique accessories. In 2015, one of the most unusual finds was made in the Atlantic Ocean. Treasure hunter John Crow from Nova Scotia discovered an old green bottle with a cloudy liquid inside. The bottle looked very worn, but the inscription Kate Brewery was still visible on its cap. Tests revealed that the bottle was at least 125 years old. And yes, it really contained beer. John Crow couldn't resist and tasted this wonder drink. To his surprise, it turned out to be quite tasty. At least, that's what he claimed, believe it or not. This find not only attracted the attention of antique enthusiasts, but also gave scientists the opportunity to study the chemical composition of beer made over a century ago. So this discovery definitely has scientific value. By the way, finding old bottles in the ocean isn't rare. They were often thrown overboard with notes containing coordinates to study underwater currents. So you might want to search for your own. In essence, all these bottles and other artifacts are just trash created by humans and ended up underwater due to various circumstances. The ocean truly holds thousands of tons of trash, and only a few finds may have any real value. It's one thing if it's just a bottle carried away by a current from a sunken ship or dropped by a careless drunkard. But off the coast of New Jersey, someone left an entire depot underwater. Cartographer Paul Halper made this astonishing discovery. He was mapping the ocean floor using a magnetometer, a special device. The device detected two enormous metal objects at a specific point on the sea floor. At first, I didn't understand what it was because the water was dirty and visibility was very poor, Paul Halper told the newspaper. But when I took a closer look during subsequent dives, I saw that they were locomotives. Who and why left them there? No documented records of these iron giants were found, but scientists have found an explanation for the strange discovery. They suggested that the locomotives were being transported across the Atlantic Ocean on a ship during a severe storm. The engines may have either fallen overboard or been deliberately thrown by the crew to reduce weight and prevent the ship from sinking. Interestingly, the locomotives, having lain underwater for over 100 years, are in excellent condition. There are even plans to raise and restore them. So if you're interested in this find, keep an eye on the New Jersey Transportation Museum's updates. But not all unusual objects found in the seas and oceans are man-made. Some, like the Yonaguni Monument, spark much debate about their origins. The most mysterious is the round disc discovered in June 2011 on the floor of the Baltic Sea. The object, found by Swedish marine researchers and resembling a fantastic spacecraft, instantly sparked public debate. Some suggested it was the remains of an interplanetary ship from Star Wars. Others proposed that it was a sunken urban neighborhood that had gone underwater many years ago. Yes, I also have many questions for these dreamers. A third theory was that it was part of a secret World War II weapon belonging to Germany. However, scientists quickly dashed everyone's hopes with their statement. It turned out that the mysterious object was actually just a huge rock formation created by nature. Stockholm University geology professor Folker Bruchert suggested that this object, located at the bottom of the Botnian Bay, has a geological origin. According to him, the Baltic Sea was formed by a glacier, which, as it melted, shaped the sea floor and left behind whimsical rock formations, including this mysterious disk. But don't be too disappointed if you're a dreamer. Some specialists don't agree with this version. In addition to unusual phenomena, nature also creates unique animals and fish that inhabit the oceans. Some have been known to humanity for hundreds of years, while others have only been discovered recently. For example, sea angels, both beautiful and terrifying ancient sea mollusks that have lost their shells through evolution but gained beautiful transparent wings. or globsters. A globster is an unidentified creature washed up on the ocean shore. Biologists and scientists around the world try to determine what these creatures are, but often fail to identify the find accurately. Globsters can come in various shapes, colors, and sizes, and often lack bones or other organs that could aid in identification. For instance, in May 1998, a carcass about half a foot wide with a fibrous texture was found on Mangrove Bay Beach in the Bermuda Islands. It was even suggested that it was the remains of an unknown extraterrestrial life form. However, later studies showed it was likely just the remains of a decomposing whale. Meanwhile, a stormy night in 1808 brought a globster measuring 55 feet to the shores of the Orkney Islands in Scotland. Locals speculated that this creature once had a tail, meaning it was even longer when alive. The globster had 3 pairs of fin-like structures bordered with bristles and a bristled mane on its back. Some witnesses claimed these bristles glowed in the dark. The Edinburgh Natural History Society was never able to identify the creature. Could it be the real monster? These are the unusual artifacts found by people in different corners of the world. Have you ever found anything unusual underwater? Perhaps you became the lucky owner of another treasure? If not, but still dream of striking it rich, I know how to help you. We are looking for editors, narrators, scriptwriters, and creative producers for our team. If you're interested, check out our Telegram bot via the link in the description and leave an application. Thank you for watching.